can't breathe, I can't sleep tonight, knowing I might wake up alone tomorrow. I can't breathe.
So now that the Battlefield 4 beta is upon us, I thought I'd take it upon myself to do a little bit of beta testing of my own, and that's the reason why I use my old intro. Simply just wanted to distinguish between my beta videos and my real Battlefield 4 videos when they come out in about a month's time. Plus the fact that the music I picked for the intro kind of fitted with my older style one more than my new one. But since we're talking about the Battlefield 4 beta, I thought I'd give a little bit of a background. So of course the beta is available on Xbox 360, PS3 and PC, and we're available to play on one map, which is Seas of Shanghai. We've seen a lot of that already, and we're able to play two game modes. They are Conquest and Domination. Now I don't think you really need me to explain how Conquest works, but basically, hold all the flags, bleed the enemy tickets, you'll win the game. And I don't think you really need me to explain how Domination works either, but for those of you that don't know, it's essentially a rebranded Conquest Domination from Battlefield 3, which is a variant of King of the Hill, except you've got two more flags. The idea being that it is essentially a smaller version of Conquest in a scaled down version of the map, so there's only a smaller section of the map available, and you just have to fight for control over 3 sectors. But enough of the information, I'm here to give you my first impressions of the Battlefield 4 beta. And I have to say, I'm fairly impressed. Now of course the first thing you'll notice is the graphics. Now on PC they're obviously going to be better than the current generation consoles, PS3 and Xbox 360. So for that I'm going to have to say that the PC looks absolutely brilliant. Now I know a lot of people have been having issues with their graphics cards and having lag spikes and frame drops, etc. That can all be sorted out in the future. DICE are working on that currently, but I was lucky enough to have a combination of CPU and GPU that worked really well. I'm running the game on an i7-3770K at stock clock speed, and I'm also running a 7970GHz edition graphics card from AMD, and that is the recommended card, or the card at least they were using in the machines to run the game at E3. So I had a really good setup and I was really comfortable playing the game on ultra settings at 60 FPS. It's a lot more pleasing to look at than Battlefield 3. There's something there that just makes the whole UI look a little bit more rounded, a little bit more perfected. There's not a huge amount of difference in the on-screen HUD when you're actually playing. There's not too much difference there, especially with the minimap in the left-hand corner and your sort of loadout and sort of how many bullets you've got left in your gun down on the right-hand side. So really, it's not too unfamiliar. But there's just something about it that I think it just looks so much nicer, a little bit more refined. Looks like it's more completed than what Battlefield 3 felt. The next thing I noticed was the sound quality. Now, we all know in Battlefield 3 that DICE didn't really do very well with the sounds, especially the guns. They all pretty much sounded the same. They all sounded like cap guns to me, but in Battlefield 4, they have made an absolutely massive improvement in the sound, especially when explosions are going off. The deeper bass doesn't block out most of the noise that's coming around from other guns, etc. So when an explosion does come off, it just feels like part of the game. It doesn't feel like it dominates your headphones or your speakers. It's part of the game now. It doesn't feel like every other sound is then muted just because an explosion's gone off. I've still noticed a few of the voiceovers are present from Battlefield 3, so I don't know if there are still placeholders in the beta or not, but I don't really see it being too much of an issue because of course we're seeing the US and the Russians return from Battlefield 3, so for me that wasn't really too much of an issue. So moving on to my opinion of the game modes, I think that probably Domination for me is the better game mode on Seas of Shanghai. I'm not really a Conquest player if I'm honest, I'm more orientated towards Rush. So both of these game modes are a little bit alien to me. I know in my gameplay you do see a lot of Team Deathmatch and a lot of Conquest Domination, but that's simply because the gameplay can then flow a little bit more instead of me having to cut it up all the time. I can get some kill streaks going, etc. And that's exactly the same in Domination here. It's really easy to go on some awesome kill streaks. While you're going through those kill streaks, especially in Domination, you can pick up those battle sort of drop things, those weapons, those super overpowered weapons on the ground. I believe on this map you can get the M32 MGL, which is the semi-automatic 6-shot grenade launcher. You can also get the USAS 12, which is returning from Battlefield 3 only as a battle pickup, and that comes with frag rounds and a green laser sight with an EOTech holographic sight. And you can also pick up the M82 50 cal sniper rifle. One thing I did notice in the domination game mode is that the battle pickup system has a respawn time that is double that of what it is in the conquest mode. And I think the reason being is it's stopping people going on massive rampage because those weapons are quite powerful. The map selection itself for the domination game mode I think works quite well, unless you have control of the roof in the centre of the map. You can essentially control the whole map from that. So I think that the roof is OP. That definitely needs to be nerfed. Conquest mode is a mode that I don't tend to play too much in the Battlefield series, so if you'll have to forgive me if my knowledge of the game mode isn't as great as that of the domination game mode, which is what I've spent 60% of my time on. I have to say, Central Point, C flag, you need to have that flag. You have utter control of the map if you can dominate at least the C and 2 other flags, because then of course you're bleeding tickets from the enemy anyway. But you have such a high vantage point from the C flag, it's a pretty much must-have if you want to win the game. It doesn't just give you the ability of being really high up as well, it actually gives you the ability to spawn on it, and then you can simply parachute down to any other sort of objective that might be around. Fair enough, the further ones out you may have to run to a little bit, but especially the flags that are closer to it, you can actually parachute to within walking distance of it, so it makes a really good tactical base to hold. I really like the way that the vehicle ammo works now. You have to be really tactical in thinking about what you're doing. If you're going around in a tank, for example, you'll have a sort of a maximum amount of shells, and if you continue to use them, they will simply deplete, and then you have to retreat and wait for them to slowly reload back into your tank. I believe it's about a 10-second period for each shell to then reload back into your tank again, so you have to be a little bit more tactical about where you're just firing that cannon. So that was the good parts that I really liked about the beta, and there are some bad parts. I don't want to go into them in too much detail because I don't want to detract from how good I think the game is, but I do have some gripes. As I mentioned already, the roof on domination mode for Season Shanghai is completely overpowered. If you have control of it, you've got control of the whole map, and you can make life hell for the enemy team. That is something I think needs... Oh, I don't know how you're going to nerf the roof. I don't really know how it can be done, but perhaps if some sort of, I don't know, some sort of railing could be put around the edge of the roof, something a little bit higher, something not too high that you couldn't see over it, but something that just stopped people simply standing on the edge, firing a couple of shots, getting a couple of kills, moving back, and then of course the enemy team can't see you. So I think there needs to be something done about it, though I'm not really sure what they could do about it. It seems that the spawning system in domination mode as well is completely broken, because the amount of times I've walked around the corner when we've eliminated the enemy team pretty much completely, they'll respawn on the other side of the map, we'll anticipate that, run across to the other side of the map, and then you'll run into about 8 players. That's something I think needs to be fixed. The spawn system is really not great yet. Of course, this being the beta, it's the best place for having gun balance tested, and I have to say, the gun balance is pretty well sorted out at the moment. There are a couple of niggles here and there, but my main gripe is the actual damage that the guns deal. It seems to be much higher than what we got in Battlefield 3, and I found that a little bit hard to adjust to start off with. Rather than changing it though, I think DICE should just sort of go out of their way to explain what they've done to the damage model, because it does feel completely different to what we had in Battlefield 3. And my one final gripe is just personal preference. I don't like how grey the map gets once the tower comes down. It makes it look like the textures have sort of faded away, but again, that's just personal preference. It's not about to change, and I'm sure the 9 other base maps are going to be just fine for me. So, let me know guys, what do you think of the Battlefield 4 beta so far? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, it's always appreciated. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.